When the Earth was blown to pieces as the ganglions and the ghosts traded blows, the energy caused a dimensional shift in X's universe on July 2054 AD. When the Earth was split into two after Klaus's experiment, the energy caused a similar dimensional shift in Blade's universe on the year 20XX as well.
The universe in which planet Mira exists, though it might be better to say dimension, is not the only one, as we have now detected several others outside of it. We're talking parallel dimensions.
I think it is time to specify the experiment as July 2054 AD as well. After all, the future redeemed radio was clear that May 16th, the sun was bright and the birds were chirping, but soon after, Professor Klaus pressed on a button that he shouldn't have on July 2054 AD. About 2 months after this radio, the timing certainly checks out. And the rest was history, as we all know. A scientist at Recontextualization facility working under the Vector Industries fighting against Dmitry Yuryev's saberites up in the sky, hoping to pull through. Because if you lose the conduit now, it will be the end of it, you see. Klaus's dream, his relentless desire for betterment, a meta-universe manifold it may be, the conduit is a gateway that will take us to a new world. Humans are fools, ravaged the planet, on the verge of burning even the skies above. We're slowly killing ourselves without realizing, but the conduit could transform us into something so much more. Make no mistake, Klaus wasn't that off the mark from the Sumerian Great One. He wasn't the only scientist interested in understanding the boundless wisdom and knowledge that the divine conduit could bestow, ascending one to divinity. There was someone else, in a different universe, far, far away, that similarly yearned for more. When Klaus pushed that button that day, the Earth was split into two. What was singular was now Bionis and all the rest. It was duality. In the explosion's aftermath, the Earth was no more in Xenoblade X. It was literally a void, no pun intended. Looking at Klaus's conduit, we see Numa's light, while Void's conduit is logos aligned, signified by the purple color. Unfortunately, unlike Klaus, Void didn't have the privilege of having two bodies post-ascension. There was no way to have a healthy expression of Logos conduit here. He couldn't pull an architect on us, if you know what I mean. The conscience of Klaus wasn't present in Void's ascension to divinity, so where was it? Where was Void's conscience? Well, it was hidden at the depths of his consciousness as his shadow. In fact, Void was treated just like Zanza in Bionis, imprisoned by those who feared his power. Shackled by his own prison island, so to speak, he felt betrayed and abandoned for eternity. But for what? Wanting to understand the ultimate matter conduit? For satisfying his curiosity? For the betterment of science? How was that fair? The Sumerians feared the Great One, as Void was also blinded by his own ambitions, just like the scientist Klaus. The relentless desire, as Chris talks about, is a double-edged sword indeed.
Your sworn mission is to change this world, is it not?
Yes.
And is that because you're unhappy with the way it is? So relentless desire is what drives you.
Desire?
You fight for betterment, for ever greater aspirations.
And what's wrong with that?
To be content with one's lot. Don't you see? Only the strong can ever hope to reach the fabled horizon that you seek. Your words must be backed up by strength in equal measure. Winner's logic.
But birds, what can they possibly know of how a lowly worm feels?
In fact, maybe that was one of the other constants between these worlds. Whether an alien or a human, we're all susceptible to the allure of a higher power that promises salvation, to fix all of our problems in life with a button press, to put our faiths into something greater than ourselves, to take refuge in it. But spirituality and religion are two different things, especially as your scientific paradigm pushes you to explore uncharted territory. It is easy to see what went wrong with these two scientists. Under the guise of rationality and progress, they were playing with fire. Maybe the story never changes. Fast forward, now Void is a broken shell of a god, trying to escape from this prison that is non-existence, running away like a coward while being allured by the very concept of death simultaneously that these humans experience. Unlike Moebius said, he paradoxically yearns for it despite fearing it. In fact, wasn't it the same fear that pushed the Samarians to imprison Void, using these spears as fetters to bind his divinity, targeting the 6 angels, represented by 6 individual cores?
And the 6th angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the 4 horns of the golden altar which is before God, saying, to the 6th angel which had the trumpet, loose the 4 angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates, and the 4 angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour, and a day, and a month, and a year, for to slay the 3rd part of men.
In Revelation 13, the 6th angel, blowing his trumpet, unleashes a massive demonic army, causing a third of humanity to die. The keywords that unlock why Void was imprisoned, as he distilled the conduit's power into 6 cores in the development of Ares, the god vessel. The 6 angels summoned a massive demonic army indeed, as they were attracted to the conduit powering Ares, just as Gnosis was attracted to the Zohars in Xenosaga. In the Bible, this event, known as the Second Woe, is a direct response to the pleas of God's people for justice to be served. Ghosts are defined as the universe's biocorrection system, serving justice for playing God, just as Amalthus did in All Rest. After his escape, Bible once again explains us what Void will do next. The Angel of the Abyss in the Book of Revelation means destruction or destroyer. Abaddon is described as the leader of a locust-like army that torments those who are not sealed by God. This is why Void's consciousness was fused into the god vessel that is Vita, and now was leading ganglions in an effort to know death, becoming the destroyer for many worlds for 30 years after the events at Elma's Homeworld. After the flooding of the database, it is possible to have the mistaken notion that the DMAT events and the ghost appearance is completely random. Takahashi-san is just pulling stuff out of his ass to create excitement when the base game had no foreshadowing. First of all, Ghost did not arrive on Mira by chance. Just like Gnosis and Xenosaga, they follow the scent of the ultimate matter conduit. They were only able to invade Mira after Al and Void got out of the Abyss with their god vessels running conduit in their veins. Just as the ghosts first appeared at the construction of the Ares, they picked up on the conduit's scent as they broke free from the prison that they found themselves in. Al and Void got out, no one could do anything, no one could prepare for it. Mira's existence was at the whims of 2 people in the Abyss. One of them was to be the hero of this story, Jesus Christ, while the other one, Abaddon the Destroyer. In Revelation, the seventh trumpet signals a significant event, the arrival of the kingdom of God on earth. It is described as a third, though, and marks the conclusion of the seven trumpet judgments, descending from heaven to stop a bloody civil war in the great city. Peace comes by the promise of Christ. Humanity needs him indeed, descending from the abyss to bring peace. See, on the most thematic level, the only motivation you can ascribe to the ghosts before the epilogue is what you see in the intro cutscene. I want you to think of ghosts as dark matter gnosis. The opposite of dark matter is visible matter, basically everything else. This explains why the ghosts can turn these mims into salts like gnosis here. When a human is touched by a gnosis, they can either be immediately killed and turned to salt, or survive, but eventually become a gnosis themselves. The similarity is undeniable, as they all follow the conduit and in this case turn visible matter into salts. After all, the dematerialization events already serve the function of the black fog in Ionios. The annihilation events are its analog. In Revelation, fetters are not explicitly used in the sense of physical restraints, but rather as symbols of spiritual bondage. They represent the oppressive power of sin and evil that binds individuals and keeps them from spiritual attainment. Explaining these 6 spears targeting the 6 angels, so to speak.
Let fetters loosed from the shell become a yoke to scourge the soul. Going off what we've seen previously, the fetters likely refer to this device.
Fetters aren't just exclusive to a specific religion, but is a technical term in the Buddhist paradigm. After all, as Al said in The Rift Between Worlds, nirvana was the other term Takahashi-san hinted at.
All these races working together? Mira really is a welcoming kind of place. Just like Klaus said. You ever heard of nirvana? Some religions have the concept, and that space might just be it. As I was floating along, guided by the Aries, while I was looking for a way into this universe, I made a little layover in an eerie kind of place.
In Buddhism, the fetters are seen as the bonds that tie us to the cycle of suffering and rebirth, the attachments and delusions that prevent us from achieving nirvana, a state in which the causes of suffering are extinguished, becoming an arhat. It is called enlightenment and spiritual awakening. The first 6 of these 10 fetters, the self-delusion, doubt, dependence on rituals, craving, ill will, and the attachment to the material world, are particularly significant as they represent the fundamental obstacles to spiritual cleansing. The Sumerians needed these fetters to shackle void. Ares brought calamity upon the world. Vita, as the god vessel powered by the conduit, has bestowed at least partial divinity to void after his escape. He wasn't omniscient, his power wasn't absolute, but he was strong enough to destroy these worlds. By piercing these 6 spears one by one, we are chaining Void's Zen devilry by bringing him down to the mortal plane with flaws and attachments like humans, tainting his divinity, making the final encounter that much easier. Just as Elma said, Fetters, once released, become a yoke.
Fetters, once released, become a yoke. Well, that's the most literal way of reading this, at least.
There's this emptiness within the god vessel he's unable to address. As when he was imprisoned in Volitaris, the loneliness got to him, just as it got to Zanza, longing for friendship in Bionis. But it wasn't friends that Void was longing for. This eternal rest that he was shackled by. Unlike Moebius said, he did not want the perpetual existence. He didn't want forever.
Locked up alone in that interminable limbo, he embraced solitude. What chafed at him more was the ignorance it forced upon him. Abiding in a world without end, Void wanted to know death. Not on account of any feeling. He simply, guilelessly, wanted to know.
When you have all the time in the world, what would you want? What is it that you would want to comprehend? Non-existence, or maybe the peace that it would bring. Like a shadow, his deepest desire was externalized, wanting to know death by killing others, not himself. By pitting them against each other instead of having a direct experience of it.
What is death? Is it simply nothing more than the price of defeat? Does it express the ending of existence? But then, how should one define your kind's existence exactly? You know not yourselves. You know nothing. Not the abyss at the heart of everything, where all consciousness has accumulated. You are ignorant, even of the art of seeing the mind within a person's shaped effigy. Ignorant that you have made nothing more than an artificial recreation of its structure.
See, Void is not talking out of his ass here. Similarly, Dog pushed back with the same objection here. Whether Mimeosome, Ares, or Vita, what is it that makes us human? Where is the self or the soul? Is it inside the organic physical body or the experience of consciousness? Or maybe they're not separate things, as non-dual teaching like Buddhism suggests. What if there is only one stuff, and when looked from the outside, this stuff appears as matter, and when looked from the inside, it appears as the mind? Maybe the distinction between the mind and matter is only in our minds. It is possible that we're making a mistake by asking the wrong questions, by imposing duality into universal consciousness.
Once your bodies are cultivated, your present memory can be transferred back in. Everything you felt or done in your Mim will be carried over seamlessly, without any loss in continuity.
You mean we'll have our bodies back? It sounds too good to be true.
It is too good to be true. Our bodies were real. We were born in them. And now you just snap your fingers and bam, we get new ones? Is that even right? Doesn't feel like it. Are we even humans anymore? Transferring our memories? Playing musical chairs with our bodies? Where do you draw the line? How do I know I'll be the same person I was wherever I end up?
To some extent, you won't be. But then, you never were. On a cellular level, we all wake up as slightly different people every day. It's only because of the continuity of consciousness that we even perceive ourselves as ourselves. It's all a fragile illusion. And until anyone proves we all have a soul, one better left to the philosophers. You're right to have doubts, Doug. This was the single biggest debate among the ECP board, and rightly so.
So then...
We did talk about putting actual bodies in stasis. We seriously considered it. In fact, some of the other projects took that path, but they would have been lucky if their ships were able to hold 50,000. The Exodus arcs were different. Enough data and materials to revive 20 million people, perfectly preserved on each and every ship. The board weighed all the pros and cons, the ethical issues and dangers of violating the natural order of things. But this is what they landed on, and I agreed.
So, when Lao said our flesh burned away with the earth, he wasn't just being dramatic.
No, he must have discovered the truth, which only made his pain worse. The same people who passed over his family were keeping this all secret.
It's no wonder he snapped. Poor bastard.
But even so, he never said anything. You know why, right? Because of you, Lin. He didn't want to see you lose hope. In the end, he led us here, right? In the end, maybe he accepted it. I'd like to think he did.
Maybe so.
No more fighting, Lao.
No, Elma! Not like this!
Step aside, Lin.
We're all on the same side here!
So then tell to the enemy to get back at those who got my family killed. Well, really, I had just given up. I get this might be what you want, but not me. Corrupt and disgusting. That's what humans are.
So I said,
stubborn, treat others cruelly. But
can't stop myself.
She realized this. She's anything but.
Tell me what I would think.
Tell her to death.
Don't go away.
I'm not what you think I am.
Lao has been killed to save everyone's data at the end of chapter 12. Sure, he was a monster, a threat to millions of people's lives, and he was begging the party to shoot. But Lin pushed back for a reason. She was emotional, no doubt about that. After all, Lao's data is inside the database along with 20 million people. So he was going to be revived anyways. But it was Lao, her father figure. Would you watch your own father getting murdered in front of your eyes as a 13-year-old, even if you knew that you could revive him? It wasn't right to just pull the trigger like that. It wasn't right in Coldros, and it wasn't right now. Look, I'm not stupid. The party had to make the pragmatic choice, the rational one. Hell, even the correct one maybe. But what many people don't understand about chapter 12 is that the epilogue completely recontextualizes it. As we were all blindly trusting Elma's guidance to save as many people as possible, we trusted the data to revive Lao despite Lin's pushback. We pulled the trigger on him without looking for alternative ways to save both Lao and the data. Now I want you to look at how naive that assumption really was. Whether intentional or not, all actions have consequences. Pulling the trigger on someone else's life is no small thing. Other ways can always be found, and Lin represented that. Lin was the only person who managed to hold on to her conscience, and the irony is that she was right about not trusting the database. Because it was all a lie, a big fat lie from the beginning. There was no revival, no getting back to your organic bodies. What Lin did here wasn't meaningless. She wasn't just being emotional because Lao is now fucking dead, with no hope of coming back. This entire mission was a hoax. Lao not being revived is ironically the opposite of the OG plot twist. Takahashi-san's way of saying you made a choice to save millions of people, but you had to sacrifice Lao to make it happen. That is stakes. That is trade-off. You can't have your cake and eat it too. That's not how the real world works. I cannot even begin to describe how happy I am that Lao is dead. This is what the story needed, and Takahashi-san did it. In fact, I think this is what Lao was talking about on the beach. See, even if you have good intentions like Elma and the party, you can still pull the trigger just the same. Humanity always has that intrinsic, disgusting, selfish side to them, as Lao talks about. We all need to make a choice pressed against time. I'm not criticizing our actions. Only Lin was able to see through that despite her young age. Or maybe because of it, trying to stop Elma not once, but twice. Children are intrinsically naive and emotional. They haven't seen enough of the world to distrust the allure of appearances. They haven't been hurt and disappointed enough by other people to have their guards up. Lao was cheated by the world, even betrayed his kin, but Lin loved him still. His opposite in many ways. Trying to give not just Lao, but also humanity a second chance. Lao just wants her to accept it, that face of humanity, so that she's not hurt like he was. Accepting was something he couldn't do after losing the only thing he cared about in life, his family. Sure, the world isn't always just. People are cruel, but if she can still love this world, if she realized this, that means she's anything but.
Elma, listen. I understand Lao's anger. I lost my family to an accident a long time ago. But if someone promised me a chance of saving them, and that was all a self-serving lie, who knows what I would do?
Lin.
It's disturbing, and corrupt, and disgusting, and yet, that's exactly what makes us human. Maybe we really should have been wiped out of existence. But...
Betrayed our friends. Sold intel to the enemy, to get back at those who got my family killed. Well, really, I had just given up. It wasn't about grief or retribution. I knew. And I did it anyway.
No more fighting, Lao.
No, Elma! Not like this!
Step aside, Lin.
We're all on the same side here! Even then, when I stood up for you, honestly, it was just so I wouldn't have to be sad again. I never could figure him out. It was all so childish. I was acting so immature about everything. Then, you stood up to defend Lao, just the same way that I did. If you hadn't done that, maybe I wouldn't have stuck it out and run away instead. I would have stayed a child, to the very end.
Yes, and if you hadn't stood in my line of fire that day, we would have all been as disgusting as he thought.
She said, it's what makes us human. Corrupt and disgusting. That's what humans are. She's a good kid. Always trying to put herself in my shoes. I could never atone enough for making a child like her wade into that muck. My hopelessness, it wound up infecting her as well.
And that's why you accepted death? Decided to just give up and wait for it?
Yeah, soon. I'll see Charmaine and Chenchi. If you make it, pass a message to Lin. Humans are disgusting. And stubborn and treat others cruelly. But if she realized this, it means she's anything but.
Cause and effect. The name Takahashi-san gave to Chapter 13, Act 1 is no coincidence. If the energy produced helped the white whale escape the Earth's destruction that day, creating a space-time transition event to another dimension that we now know as Mira's, then maybe we could reverse engineer that process. Similarly, to escape Mira's inevitable destruction now due to the DMAT events and the ghosts, we might need to produce similar levels of energy to make the jump. By recreating the same cause, we can reverse engineer the same effect. After all, when you think about it, all causes are the effects of previous causes in this never-ending cycle. Something is only an effect in relation to what comes before, not after. This story never ends is an idea coined by the renowned philosopher Friedrich Hegel as historical recurrence. Quote, history repeats itself, he says, believing that culture is a process of unfolding reason, where each stage contributes to the overall progress of human consciousness towards ever greater freedom. Isn't that ultimately what we're doing in all Xenoblade games?
That day, Earth was destroyed. What's more, that wasn't the first event of its kind. My home, the planet I was born on, it met with the same fate.
Your planet? It was destroyed?
Mira disappearing, the ghost's arrival, even the Ares. The dots all join up, it's connected. And whenever ghosts appear, planets die.
You're saying that the Ares is the reason? It's the cause of all this? So we're gonna lose Mira just like Earth? Like your world?
Yes, most likely.
Numa and Logos battling out their differences to arrive at insights to Ontos, something that rings more true and inclusive. Hegel saw history as a series of dialectic stages where thesis is challenged by antithesis, leading to a synthesis. He also noted that major events and historical figures tend to appear twice. While Hegel recognized the cyclical nature of history, he also believed that individuals and societies could learn from past mistakes. The synthesis becomes the next thesis for a new Trinity, for a new contemplation. He emphasized the importance of understanding the rational process and using that to guide actions. The Ares and the Vita are the thesis and the antithesis. Pneuma and Logos were in conflict once again. When Elma's homeworld repaired Ares, inherited by the ancient Samar, one day the ganglions showed up out of nowhere. Maybe the ripple that broke free Void out of his prison was Samarians tinkering so much with the Ares, his brainchild, explaining how Void was able to find their location for an invasion. In the ensuing chaos, something unexpected happened. A third party, what Hegel refers to as the synthesis, has arrived. Ghosts, the Gnosis demons as we've talked about, were now hostile to both. This story never ends. These are what I call thematic parallels. After all, we've all seen a glimpse of this when Al was stuck in the rift between worlds, looking at Shulk, Rex, and even Noah and Mio's memories. Bionis, Alrest, Ionios, the universal consciousness was not a prison, but a paradise. As separate as these endless universes may be, they were connected still by the rift and the conduit's power.
Why it chose to appear before us, I do not know. However, its existence presented a new possibility.
Possibility?
Our world was not the only one. Endless universes coexist, side by side, yet all completely unaware of one another. The conduit was our link to these foreign worlds, and I opened that forbidden gateway, praying that it would change the world.
Speaking of Moebius, Zed, and Void, they are actually very similar. No wonder both of them feared death. Zed had more aversion to non-existence, while Void was actually fascinated by it. They all wanted to run away from it just the same, delaying their inevitable ruin. As Zed did, amusing themselves with existence to forget about its shadow.
The fear of death is a powerful motivation in creatures like you. Yea, stronger even than our lust for life. I wish to understand this.
And that's why the slaughter?
You think by killing them yourself, you'll get what it's like to fear death?
What was it you called our fight against you? A contest for survival? That's a contest to defy death. You started a war without knowing that?
The best it will simply cease to be. That is not death. Self-evidently, as I have no conception of it. Ceasing to be is simple non-existence. But death, when you speak of it, is wrapped up in many a complex emotion. That I wish to know.
Nauseating. Might we infer from that, N?
Is there naught here but these vulgar pleasures?
Huh. I see why you would feel that way. But you have not the luxury.
Say what you mean.
Pleasures and sorrows, meetings and partings. their roots are the same. Tolerance of existence is at the heart of them all.
You want me to frolic with them?
You shall find there's no such thing as luxury in this world. Everything buds from but a single thought. That you yourself are here is proof definite thereof. You need not understand. You can simply remain as you are. That is enough.
Just as how X's Earth was a parallel world to Klaus's, evident by the same date of phase transition, Mira and Ionios' destructions at the end were also simultaneous parallel world occurrences. Both the Earth's destruction and recreation are fated to happen in these worlds at the same time, coming full circle. The tail end of Ionios, as Noah and Mia reboot Origin, Ares' jump drive is paving the way for a new world in X's universe. After all, Ionios is a time-frozen warped reality created by Origin, so the parallel timing is already very convenient to synchronize in a similar world like Mira. Dematerialization events and ghosts destroy Mira. Annihilation events and black fog destroy Ionios. In Mira, the world was turned into void, creating a new world. In Ionios, two worlds are made into one, duality into singularity to create a new world. This is the second co-synchronous event of these worlds. Creation and destruction. There is a ring circling around the planet, so it's highly unlikely for it to be the same Earth that we forged in Ionios. They do not look the same. In fact, Monolith Soft has made it clear in an interview that they want to make Xenoblade X2, the sequel, but if this Earth is Future Redeem's world, then they would effectively fuse X's world with Xenoblade 4, which doesn't make sense considering they intend for an X2 sequel. This story never ends. And there you go. Before writing the script for this video, I finished the game about 2 days ago, so everything is fairly fresh in my mind, and honestly, I have not watched a single X video, at least nothing specific on lore or even build videos really, to give you guys my blind analysis as fast as possible. I definitely have a lot of catching up to do. Now, if it is not evident by the title already, Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition was peak fiction. Straight up, I absolutely love this, and I hope that this video, this analysis, communicated why I felt the way I did. This was more dense than I could have ever imagined. This was more dense than Future Redeemed, more dense than Torna. Like, I was not expecting so much content, so much information in such a short expansion. And keep in mind that this video was just an overview, my first fresh thoughts and analysis on the game. I want to get my initial thoughts out into the wild, considering I'm already late to the party, so we will analyze not just this epilogue, but the main story of X in more detail as well. This game is filled with so much lore and mysteries that I can't wait to delve deeper with you guys. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed this game as much as I did, but before you go watch my alpha analysis, if you haven't done so already, without a doubt, this is one of my favorite videos. Join my Discord down below, it is free. Don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe if you want to see more. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.